Had to cut off some folk that were really leeching. When I look back, I was really tweaking. When I look back, I was really tweaking. But now I do me and you doing you. Better move out my way when I'm coming through. They gon' hate when I pull up in Bentley Coupe. Got my brother beside me, he got it too. Better watch what you say, cause it really shoot. Look what they talking I did to you. I just stay in my lane and I stick and move. You can't break us apart like Gorilla Glue. I can't fuck with nobody if they ain't riding.
So excited to be back on YouTube. So if you are new to my channel, if you've never visited my channel before and this is your first time visiting, welcome and thank you so much for watching. If you are a returning subscriber and you've been rolling with me since the beginning, welcome back, yo. I'm so excited to be back on YouTube. Okay, so first things first, I would say the greatest thing that no one told me, like the thing that I did not find on social media, Facebook, Twitter, well, I'm not on Twitter, but Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. The one thing that no one told me was that your ass can get recycled and end up stuck in basic training or end up stuck in AIT or your tech school because your ass got recycled for some shit you ain't even know you could get kicked out. Like you did not know you can get kicked back for. Okay, so no recruiter, nobody told me this. That adds so much pressure on top of an already chaotic, very stressful situation. What I mean by that is, okay, so you go to basic training. I imagine it's the same in the Air Force. I think in the Air Force they call it getting washed back. In the Army they call it getting recycled. So basically what that means is, say you have a graduation requirement, right? A graduation requirement for sure is passing your PT test. In basic training in the Army, I believe we have 4. You have a diagnostic. So all of this information I'm going to share is for you to prepare yourself and not go into it blind. That's the whole purpose of YouTube. That's the purpose of my YouTube channel, is so that people don't go into this blind. And in some ways, I don't feel like the people around me did me justice in sharing like the nitty gritty on like what to expect. Okay, so your PT test or your physical training, you are tested throughout basic training, and really they want to see progression. There's only one PT test that really matters, and that's your final one. So when you get there, you're going to do a diagnostic. They call it a 1-1-1. So 1 minute of push-ups, 1 minute of sit-ups, and 1 mile run. So that was fine. You know, the diagnostic, it doesn't matter. However, you'll progress through, and I think you'll have 2 more, and then you'll have a final one or something like that. If you do not pass your final PT test, you will be recycled to another company. Okay? That means you've done all this work. You've gone through red phase, white phase, and blue phase. Okay? If you don't pass your PT test, sis, bruh, you're going to be recycled back to another company, which means you could potentially have to do a phase all over again. If your company, or if you are blessed to end up in a company who is willing to work with you, they might send you to FTU. Some people call this fat camp. That's not the case. It just means that there is a certain part of physical training that you have to work on. And going to FTU will allow you to do that. So that's the thing, guys. Like, you have to know that you can come into basic training with a timeline, but if you don't meet the criteria, you can get sent to another company and your time gets rewound and you start over again. I know a guy who's been recycled at least 3 times. 3 times. That means, like, so I went to basic training in October. We graduated in November. So October to November, November to December, December to January. But we had a break in between because we had the holidays. Generally, it's about 2 months, right? 2 months and some change. 2.5 months. So Imagine having to do that 3 freaking times. Basic training. Getting recycled all the way back to day 0. You don't want to do that. So, a couple of things I need for you guys to do. Be physically prepared for what you are about to come into. The Army does not get you into shape. I don't know okay, let me clarify. You will get into shape if you come in out of shape. However, coming in out of shape adds an extra layer of pressure onto your shoulders, onto your mind. It creates a level of anxiety that is difficult to articulate through this video. But what I will say is you don't want it, okay? You want to make sure that you are physically preparing. And give yourself practice PT tests before your ass get here. The charts, I'll put a link to the charts down below, but you know how much you weigh, how tall you are, so you know how many sit-ups, how many push-ups, and how fast you have to run in order to pass your PT test. What will make your life insanely more easy in basic training is knowing for a fact that at minimum, you can meet the minimum requirements and the minimum is 60 points in each category. So you know that you can meet the minimum requirement in push-ups, sit-ups, the 2-mile run. I'm not even going to get into the fact that the Army is transitioning into the new PT test. So some of those things are obsolete. Like the push-ups, we'll do hand release push-ups now. You won't even be doing the regular push-ups. Sit-ups. I don't even think we do sit-ups in the new PT test. To be honest, I think there are other measures of core strength. I digress. So, the PT test is an example of one thing that can send you backwards in your training and prolong the suffering. Don't do it, okay? Don't do it. Like, I've seen so many people cry and break down in basic training because their ass could not pass their PT test and they had to get washed back, whether it was because they were injured or just not physically capable of making it happen, or not mentally capable of making it happen, because all of those things are factors. Your physical fitness, your mental fitness, and also whether or not you're injured and you're trying to do your PT test. Girl. All right, so there are other things besides physical fitness and your PT test that can get you recycle or wash back. Weapons qualification. So you will fire off weapons quite a bit in basic training. Not so much in AIT. Of course, it depends on your MOS or your job. My job did not require us to fire off weapons in AIT. However, in basic training, if you do not qualify, your ass can get recycled. Now, depending on your company, you will get several opportunities to qualify, but that is not Enlist. Like, you don't get Enlist ammo to, qualify. So out of 40 shots, you have to hit at least 23 targets. And I want to say you'll have to qualify a couple of times. They all matter. They all matter. You will have to qualify. I've seen people break the F down at the range because they could not qualify and they thought that they were going to be recycled. The pressure is real. It's kind of difficult with qualifications. I would not recommend that you practice shooting before you come into the Army, because the reality is they're going to show you and teach you the way the Army expects you to shoot. And excuse me, oftentimes people who come in with experience aren't always the best shooters. However, I've seen where in my particular class, the people who had experience shooting ended up being the best shots. And 2 of those guys ended up being experts. At least one that I know for sure was an expert shot. And he had a significant amount of experience shooting a rifle prior to coming into the military. So take that advice with a grain of salt. If you have experience, great. If not, I wouldn't recommend spending money to go to a range to practice. It's not worth it. They're going to teach you. people with degrees. Hey guys, how y'all doing? So, mind you, my videos are tailored to or directed primarily at individuals who are older, who is interested in joining the military. There are lots of videos and YouTubers who are in there between 19 and 20 years old, who are fast, thin, all of those things, and don't have a problem with joining the military. I was not that person. I'm 34. I'm going to be 35 this year. And people with degrees, people who are accustomed to using their minds. So a little bit about me, and I've shared this in previous videos, but I'll just say I have a significant amount of professional experience. I've used my degrees. I have traveled the world. I was not struggling financially. So those were not my why. And I've shared that. My why had nothing to do with, I think the Army is going to help me make a lot of money. Sis, bro. You're not, especially at my age, at my stage in life, I'm not joining the Army because I think I'm going to be financially great. That's not my motivation. So it would irritate me when people be like, well, you're getting paid to be here. And I just wanted to be like, sorry, boo, that's not my motivation. Then degrees but aside from degrees, I would just say, and again, I'm catering this to people who are my age. When you are accustomed to being on top of your game, when you are accustomed to leading at high levels at wherever it is your place of work is, going in enlisted is incredibly frustrating. It's frustrating not because you're somehow better than the people around you. It's frustrating because you know what it's like to lead at high levels. You know what it's like to conjure up creative and innovative ideas, fresh ideas that are not antiquated and dated back to the 1950s because the Army is so fucking big and slow. You are used to using your brain, especially millennials. Millennials. You guys are gonna have fun. So when you're used to using your brain and offering ideas, this environment is very frustrating. I've been frustrated to the point of tears because I was not using my brain. That's how bad it got / gets. Because I'm not out of the woods. And I'll explain what that means, but it gets frustrating when you're used to operating at a high level. I've worked for city governments, I've contracted with state governments, I've done a lot of interesting stuff that requires some high level thinking and interaction. And so when you get here and you're 35 with a whole bunch of experience and degrees to boot, sometimes it feels like you're in a really bad boarding school. And that's frustrating if you're older. So think about it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that that you will not have opportunities to use your brain. I'm just saying that when you're enlisted, especially lower enlisted, which is where you're going to come in, even if you have a degree, the highest you can come in is an E4. So you are just beneath corporal, and corporal is just beneath being an NCO. Or a non-commissioned officer, so that's an E5. Corporal and specialists are the same. They're the same pay grade, but a different rank and have different job responsibilities. But it's frustrating. It's frustrating. The stupid ass tasks that I end up doing, and I'm just I didn't sign up for this. But did you?
All I All my life I've been fighting demons. All walking around lost, I ain't had no meeting. Had a smile on my face, but my heart was bleeding. Spent my last on the weed, I was really fainting. I was really down bad, I just kept on reaching. Had to cut off some folk that were really leeching. When I look back, I was really tweaking. When I